Want to get a private coaching session with me? There's been a sale on coaching sessions for the past month, but I've decided to increase it to cover the entirety of the summer. So coaching sessions are going to continue to be 20% off all the way until the end of July. Buying a session package with me gets you access to many perks,
Get the fuck out of here.
such as free VOD reviews on stream, discounts on future sessions purchased, and much, much more. If you want to find out more info about how to buy a coaching session, join my Discord server and go to the Buy Private Sessions channel. Once you buy a session, you can hold on to that session for as long as you want and use it whenever you please. So it would be a good idea to buy a session now while they're on sale. Once the sale is over, it's over. And there won't be another sale for quite a bit of time, although there may be giveaways. Link to my Discord is in the description. Hope you enjoyed the video. Nice job, damage using the Hanzo. He's moving forward. Stick with him. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, good enough. So I would have liked for you to have been with the Hanzo, right? And it's not so much like even just pocketing him, but I mean like if you're up here and you damage boost him, you can also be thinking that you could be sitting right here pocketing your Ryan as well. Right? It makes it a lot easier for you to have access to your team above them as Mercy, right? And it gives you better cover, right? Yeah, so I would have liked it if you were up, again, because it's like, who is in the most aggressive position on your team right now?
Hanzo.
Yeah, you see that, right? And that's the type of thing that you want to be keeping in mind, right? So it's like, your positioning up here would optimize to aggressive people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what you can also be considering is that damage is like a form of healing in a way, right? Because it's like if your team puts out more damage, they're going to inherently take less damage. Like if they, since they're putting out so much pressure, the enemy team won't be able to push as much. So if you can enable that damage, especially when the Hanzo gets aggressive, you need to be doing that. Again here, like if we look at this, and I hate to like nitpick here, but the thing about Mercy is that her kit is very simple, and like a lot of times, like Mercy players will get a bit like lazy with the way that they play or like they position, but it's like Mercy is all about just constantly like maximizing output, right? So it's like here you see the hog is healing, right? And you're still healing him up, right? When instead there are people here that could be damage boosted like the McCree. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like it's all about just maximizing the amount of time that you have and like increasing your value like that. It's fine, the Hanzo going up. It's good. Again, right? Like I know it's tempting to go after the Ana, but it's like look at where she is, right?
Yeah.
And
She's
look
got many right
who's
behind her.
she's in cover, but then look who's right next to you.
Yeah.
The McCree who's half health and who's poking. You see what I'm saying? So this is the more prioritized target. The Hanzo is like a bit inaccessible, right? Or I mean, like he's accessible, but it's like it's not really something where it's like you want to go, "Hey Hanzo," like or you don't really want to be standing out here or like getting close like this. The McCree is a much safer target. He should be the one you're damage boosting right now, right? Instead, you go across, and then look. You see what I was saying? How it's like you're constantly behind, and now look, your McCree's out, and now you're trying to look for him, but the damage boost that you were supposed to be providing just like isn't there anymore. The opportunity's gone, right? And now you're like constantly chasing for like it's almost like I think this should give you like an idea of what your gameplay is like. It's like it's almost like you're trying to pick up the slack rather than enabling proactive players. You see what I'm saying? Right? Because it's like it doesn't really feel to me like you're. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's just unfortunate. She got sent to the Shadow Realm. Look at that. What the fuck? Anyways, yeah. So it's like it seems to me like you're kind of like on the back foot, and you're like constantly looking for people to top off, right? Or like not to top off, but to like you're trying to be the person that's like amending somebody's bad positional mistakes rather than enabling someone's good positional decisions. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. So it's much better to just enable people like what you're doing right now. This is great. Right. Just stick with this target. Don't drop. No, okay. Good. Yeah. I thought you were gonna drop off. Right. But again, do you see like what's going on here again?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What's going on?
Hanzo's being aggressive and being pushed by Echo, and I'm on cart with Echo. You could be heal Banna.
And alternatively, what you could be thinking too is look at where you put yourself. Right. You've put yourself in the middle of the lane. Right. And ideally, as like any sort of like support or DPS for that matter, you always want to try to be playing from the outside facing in. Like, well, this is something for like any hero, honestly, even as tanks. You don't necessarily want to be on mid lane like this because all this does is invite pressure from angles here. What's it called? You end up getting exposed to spam, right? And all the off angles are just like able to look at you while you have no cover from it, right? You have to look. You end up having to look like here and here and here, and you can't isolate the angles. Whereas like if you're up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that you see how it's like you can be looking down at main, but then you could also take cover, like let's say here, and then you could be looking out towards like this off angle here. It's like there you can be isolating angles as you're if you're on the off angle, right? And I think it would have been much better here if you just literally stuck with your Hanzo, enable him to win this fight, and then he's just gonna be a menace up here, right? And then you can just be sitting up here healing up your teammates as you please, especially if they get shattered, right? Because there's no reason for you to get shattered, right? This is just value that you could be having, right? More value. And look, your Hanzo's firing, but you see how he can't sustain it?
Yeah.
Right? That should be you, right? Because it's like, yes, he gets like dinked or whatever, but this needs to be you topping him off and enabling this again. Because like, one thing you want to be considering too is this, right? How many times have you played a match where you've like lost your main tank or something, or you've lost like one, like let's say you're off tank. How many times have you like, how many times have you killed the enemy team's off main tank or something, and they still win the fight somehow?
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. It's just like what happened here, right? And the reasoning for this is because you still have DPS on the field who can get a counter pick, right? You see how you've lost your main tank, but there's still opportunities here for you to get picks, right? You got one, you can get another, and then you just win this fight. That's it, right? But it's like you're not here to actually enable that, from what it seems. Well, no, not from what it seems. It's what's happening. Back here, got the high ground, yeah. And you see, this is where I was saying that you're playing catch up. You have your Hanzo screaming that he needs healing. Your Ball screams that he needs healing. Your McCree's getting like chased after by a Rhine. Like all these people are half health. It feels pretty bad, right? It doesn't feel great. And then that's where it feels like as Mercy, you're maybe not getting as much value as you feel like you might, or you feel like I don't really know what more I can be doing here, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you have to enable your team ahead of time, rather than like pick up the slack for your team after, right? Because it's like by the time you have to think of it as like by the time your team is like half health or like going crit or something, they're already backing out. So it's not like it's not like if you heal them back up, they're going to be like instantly back in that position to like take an aggressive position and try to win the fight. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you have to enable that early. Is there any specific questions with like anything that we went over, or like anything you don't quite understand or would like to go over more? Or...
No, it's definitely making sense to me because I feel like not so much here. This is like 3 or 4 days ago, but like last day and a half or so, I've kind of tried to blue beam a lot more.
Yeah.
And I've noticed it, but yeah, no, definitely one of my bad habits is just trying to make sure my team's not dead rather than make sure my team's doing damage.
Yeah, I would even say like it's not so much that like it's not so much the blue beam that's the issue. It's more so that it's like you're going for the blue beam, but it's when they've already like uncommitted or like they've already been forced out of their aggressive position.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like you need to be kind of thinking like 1 second ahead of like where these people are going and like think like is this a moment that I again so like if we think of that graph, right? If we think of that graph, this person in the aggressive position puts out this much value as opposed to when they get poked out, maybe they put out this much value. I would like to
Mm-hmm.
be damage boosting this as opposed to this. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like what you're finding is that you're here rather than here. Right? So you have to be like 1 step ahead of it. You have to be like looking in advance as to like what where people are going. If you can keep up your counter pick potential, there's a much higher chance of you keeping of you maintaining the fight here, right? So instead of going
Mm-hmm.
after this, right? Instead, what if you just stood here and he just kept on damage boosting the McCree on his angle? You see that?
Yeah. Especially because if he gets a pick, it'll make the res safer, and it's the fresh res. Like I have time for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Although it looks like he's chasing after ghosts here or like pixels. He's like looking around at the map. Um, you would still at least like give him the benefit of the doubt that he's gonna like do something here. Obviously, you're not here to pocket, but do you see how sticking with like a target like right here enables you to like, especially if you're
Yeah.
working with your camera movement where you're pocketing and then you're looking the other way, you're like looking around at
Yeah.
your angles. You can see what's going on, and you could potentially save this Ana, right?
Mm-hmm.
If not, you go for the res, like right here, right? That'd be a lot simpler, and it'd be probably a much easier team fight one.